Welcome to the Big Movement Podcast. If you're ready to create results and make huge strides in your business, finances, personal development, and health, then you're in the right place. Pushing past excuses and powering through procrastination can be a challenge alone. Here, you'll get the support, tools, and knowledge you need to get to the level you desire in your business and life. Let's get started with your host, Byron Ingram.
And welcome to the Big Movement Podcast. Today we have a special guest. We have Marina Villatoro, who is a day trader who specializes in helping individuals understand what does it take to succeed in creating a financial freedom, leveraging what takes place in the financial markets through day trading. So you definitely want to tune in and listen because you're going to learn something about what you think you might know about the markets and then what there's really taking place. So let's give a warm welcome to Marina Villatoro. So Marina, welcome.
Hi, Byron. Thanks for having me. I'm very excited to be here.
Oh, glad that you're here. So tell us a little bit more about yourself. That we talked a little bit, and you're involved in the markets. But how did you come across it? I mean, it's in terms of as being an entrepreneur, all the different choices. What made you just kind of go down a long laundry list and say, day trading? That sounds interesting.
Well, I actually knew that I wanted to do something with the financial markets for years. I mean, we're talking almost 2 decades. That I've had interest. I was investing. And about 5 years ago, I decided to go like full on, but with day trading. So I wasn't really sure exactly what and how until I started to do the research. And then I just knew it's a desire. It's an itch. I think some people just know that they have that interest and they get gravitated towards it. Some people who hear about it get really interested in it. I'm not really sure how it all began, but it's just something that it's always been literally like itching me for years. So I just decided to finally do it 5 years ago.
Okay, excellent. Now, with day trading, because, there's obviously, people are thinking it could be some misconceptions out there about what it is and what it's not. What do you define day trading truly as? So
day trading, it's obviously in the financial markets, right? So I guess the main way of explaining it, whenever I say I day trade, people are like, oh, I want to learn how to invest. So investing is when you are looking for long-term investments, right? You look into a company, you want to buy into it and you invest. You could leave it for a week, you could leave it for a month, you could leave it for several years. Day trading is literally in the financial markets, but in that exact day, right? You never go more than a day. That's what day trading represents. And for instance, when you do investing, you're looking more into fundamentals of a company. You want to learn more what is going on for sale and stuff like that. However, with day trading, it's pure technical. So at least for what I trade, it's 100% technical analysis. There is zero interest in fundamentals, which is a really big deal, right? And also day trading, the average trade is between, it could be 15 minutes. Some people even do 5-minute trades to, the full holding on to your positions the full day. But normally you get out completely within the 24 hours. I say 24 hours because another really big misconception with day trading is whenever I say I day trade, they're like, oh, the stock market. However, there are 4 equally traded markets: stocks, futures, forex, and options. Futures is like commodities. Well, it is the commodities market, and forex is foreign exchange market when you trade currencies. So the reason I said 24 hours because forex is actually a 24-hour market, unlike some of the others, which are only 8 hours more or less. So within 24 hours, you are in and out of all your positions.
Okay. So now, how did you decide which area of the market did you want to focus in on? With having those 4 different areas, what makes you think, like, you know what, I want to go focus in on Forex or I want to focus in on stocks? How do you decide upon that when you're looking at day trading?
So when I was looking for it, I too was gravitating towards stocks because that's what a lot of people, think it is. And so you realize that it's not the only thing. I finally settled on futures. I only focus on the ES market, which is the ES mini. It's the S&P 500 futures. So once you decide you want to day trade, you really need to zone in on the exact market you want to do, right? So I really recommend doing research on it because you're going to be putting so much time in learning that market. Another thing that really helps people decide is the amount of investment that you need to put in. If you're going to be doing futures or Forex, it's minimal. For instance, I think to open up an account, you only need about $500 to $1,000. For stocks, it's usually you need around $10,000 or more. And the reason why is for futures, you're not buying anything. There's no upfront money. For instance, with stocks, you have to buy the stock before you can make any sort of a profit, right? For instance, if I'm going to go with like the most cliche one, Apple, right? If you want to buy Apple and you think that Apple is going to go up, or you could also make the same amount of money, sometimes even more if it goes down, if you go into a short, but that's getting a little bit more advanced. So either one, right? You're going for it up or you're looking for it to go down. You have to first buy the share. So an Apple share right now is around $110, right? So you're not going to buy one, right? Because if it only goes $1, you're spending about $10 on the commissions. So you need to buy at least, 20 to 100 minimum, right? So you need to put that money up front. Obviously, there's a lot of stocks that are much less. I'm just giving this as it's kind of like blanket one. But for futures and Forex, you don't need that upfront money. So that's also a much more attractive reason why people go into those two options. I'll be honest with you, I don't really know much about it, but I do know that it's a lot less of an investment as well. So another thing is with stocks, there's a lot of research that is required, a lot of research, right? Because you need to know what's going on in the stock, and also there's many different stocks. I think there's over 5,000. So you need to find that, right? So to me, stocks, after I realized all that work that has to be done, I was like, there's no way. It's just too complicated, right? And also you need 1,000 charts and whatnot. And futures, again, I'm not 100% sure with Forex because I do futures. One chart, you don't need any research. Preparation will take you 5 minutes, but you need to know your technicals. I'm not saying you don't prepare beforehand. You need an education. You need to know your strategy. You need to know your market. But when you finally get past the schooling of it and you sit down in front of your charts, for stocks, you need to probably be up 2 hours beforehand. For futures, bam, 5 minutes. You just watch what's going on. You get your technicals. So it's a lot easier, right? So when I found this out, no, it's not easy. I should never say it's easy. Trading is not easy. It's simpler, right? There's just less work involved beforehand. And because it's such a high performance activity, the least amount of work you do before you actually sit in front of your charts, the more focused you could be on the actual trading, if that makes sense. So futures permits you to do that. I think Forex as well. Stocks, no, you really need to be prepared. And there's just a lot of homework beforehand. And that's and the fact that there's more money up front, it makes it less attractive for me, at least.
Right. Well, if you look at the industry as a whole and you think about the stock markets and you look at, say, your large mutual fund companies, your big investment companies out there, they have teams of people who are constantly going over companies, what they're doing, what they're not doing, their financial statements, just so that way they can make proper recommendations. So when you think about it, here's these companies have these large teams of people dissecting what's happening in a company. Does it make that any sense to try to compete with that? Like when they have teams of people and you're one person in terms of time to be able to make the best decision.
Well, again, those are first of all, don't get me started on mutual funds. They don't work out. If anybody's going to do their due diligence, they're out of the 8 million different mutual funds, maybe 1% is actually bringing you more money. A lot of those guys just take a lot of your money. So I would not recommend that. But now we're talking completely about investing. So that particular research they're doing, this is more for longer term. It's completely different. Like they're two completely different animals altogether. right? So there's a psychologist and a surgeon, right? They're both doctors, but they cannot be any different, right? So similar like that with being a day trader and an investor. So what you're talking about more, there's no competition there. There's no, but then, so if you do want to get into understanding more about day trading in that respect, what you were talking about, there's the algorithms and the high frequency trading. Honestly, it doesn't really affect you that much as an individual trader of your own money. I would not even worry about it.
Right.
Yeah, no, that doesn't really, excuse me, that doesn't really affect it as much. It might affect institutional day trading, but not the individual one. You're not putting in enough.
Right.
You're not, yeah, I woun't worry about that at all.
Right. And that's more of like, when you think about the people that they're deciding, oh my gosh, like they're and not just with the institutional day trading or anything like that, but you think about the typical mindset of that person who's going after the normal investing process that is typically taught by people. And, you want to buy this, you want to hold this for a long term. There's a lot of companies out there that they might have been great one day, but not so much anymore for a variety of reasons, but people hold on to stuff. So when you're looking at the whole day trading process, what is it that your typical day looks like? Because some people might have this notion where it's like you're working for 5 minutes, like you're done. Versus what does it really encompass?
So again, if we're not going to be talking about stocks,
Right.
because that involves a lot more time. For instance, a futures trader, like somebody like me, right?
Mm-hmm.
I only do maybe 1 or 2 hours per day. It will take me less than 5 minutes to prepare my charts. What does take me a little bit longer is to prepare myself mentally. And that's, I give like a good 10 minutes before anything of meditation, clearing my mind, getting in the zone. Because if you're going to bring your junk from whatever other issues you've got in your life, you're not going to do well. I don't think you're going to do well in anything in life if you bring junk from one part of your life to another, right? So that's about it. So because it's such a high performance activity, you can't really do more than 2 hours at a time, simply because it's just not possible, to be honest with you. So the majority of traders, at least for futures, maybe probably even for stocks, they probably work a couple of hours full on, take a good 2-hour lunch to completely like decompress, and then they return for the afternoon sessions. Again, you know what? If you go in a good trade and you make your money for the day, why would you continue? Greed is a very big problem in day trading, even though people don't really fully understand what greed is. I personally never knew about it too much until I've encountered, how it can be. So if you got in a trade and you're done in 15 minutes and it's a good trade, why go back?
Right.
I'm okay. I'm done.
Right.
I'm okay. So it's really on your mentality. It's really a mental thing. But, in 1 or 2 hours, you could literally be done for the day and you're good.
Mm-hmm. So obviously it sounds like mindset is critical more than anything else to achieving success in day trading.
Oh, yeah. I say that anybody can learn. It's all about the mental blocks that you have to overcome.
So for the mental aspect, what is it that you're focusing in on? Because, if people are not used to seeing the different mechanics that are involved with day trading, why do you need to have like this crystal clear mindset? You're not bringing in baggage when you're sitting in front of your computer to do this. Why is it so critical?
Because your money is on the line, because your ego is on the line. So I do not recommend anybody to start trading until you have a rock solid strategy. 95% of the traders who trade don't even know what the market is telling them, do not have a strategy. I shouldn't say 95%. Out of 95% who are not successful, they either don't have a clue what the market is telling them, they do not have a strategy that they could, fully hold on to and know that it's a workable strategy. So until you have that, so what happens when you don't have that, right? let's talk about that, because 95% of the traders don't in some way or another. So what happens? Your confidence goes, right? So we talk a lot about in trading, it's not about your actual capital, it's the emotional capital that gets taken away from you, right? Because think of it, you go into a trade and it's bad, you lose. So what happens? Yeah, you lost the money, obviously, but then you start to really lose that confidence in yourself, that belief in yourself, right? And really it's because you're not fully ready. So when you have that rock solid strategy, now because your mind is constantly going to be getting in the way, right? Fear, greed, they're so big and they come at you like at this, insane force when you're going into a trade or staying in a trade or all these things go through you. Imagine your money is on the line, right? So it's a pretty big emotionally triggered thing that could happen. However, if you have a solid strategy, you have your risk in total place. That's another thing. Out of those 95% who fail, probably don't even have a risk management, right? So they just let their losers run until they have nothing left in the bank, or they take a very small profit because it's this mental battle. So if you have that strategy, and if you lose, you also could say, okay, well, I've lost, this, but I know that 7 out of my 10 trades will win. So in the long run, I will win, right? So you have that confidence in you already, which allows you to feel better when you're trading, right? Because that's what you need. The more ammunition you have for winning, the less chances you will have that ego, the mentality to bust you, right? The market really humbles you. I have to admit, it really, really humbles you. And it actually makes you go on a spiritual journey eventually if you want to become a really good trader. So until then, you have to deal with a lot of stuff, right? And even then, you still have to deal with a lot of stuff, but you're dealing with it on a different level.
Right. And that's so critical to understand those concepts and principles, because without having a solid strategy in place, it doesn't matter what somebody wants to do, success is going to be hard to achieve. So now, when you're looking at the whole principle of it, you mentioned risk management. Can you tell us a little bit more about what do you mean by that? Because some people, they're just going to go all in. It's like, well, I'm just going to let it run, like if they're going to Vegas.
That's why Vegas loves gamblers.
Right. Yeah. Vegas is winning.
Well, yeah, it's winning hard because it's gambling, right?
Right.
So it's the same thing. People think that day trading is a gamble. It's not. It's not. If you have a strategy, you're not gambling, right? So a risk management, for instance, you know exactly how much money you are going to allow to lose on a certain trade. And no matter what, you are going to get out. You're just going to wipe your wounds and you're just going to go right back into the next valid trade. That's a risk management, right? It depends. Everybody's different. So the rule of thumb is 1% to 2% of your portfolio to risk on a certain trade. That's usually how it works, right? So if you have $2,000, you maybe $20, $30, like $200 on a trade. That's 10%. Like if you have, maybe my average is $50 per trade. Okay. 60, sometimes a little bit, a teensy bit more, but it depends on the trade setup, right? I know that that's going to be a higher probability trade, so I could give it a little bit more room. But again, it's got to be rock solid. You have to know exactly what it is, right? You can't be guessing, oh, maybe on this one, maybe that. No, there's no guess. I know.
Right. Okay. So now, obviously, using having that type of a risk management, that principle is very critical to creating success. So you minimize your losses in one trade. What is it that people should be expecting? If you're making a certain amount per trade, does someone make one trade per day? How many trades do you typically make in a day so that way you can have the lifestyle that you want?
Oh, that varies. Every single person is so different, right? It's just, again, you have to now face your greed demons, right? You just have to know, okay, I'm totally cool with $100 or $200 per day, especially in the beginning. Why would you think that you can make $300 or $400 a day, right? You go to school for 4 years in university, you're not coming out thinking you're going to be making, 6 figures, right away. Well, it depends on the school, I guess. Also, if that's going to be your case, you're probably in school for 8 years, right?
Right.
So people think that with day trading, but why not be okay in the beginning of your journey with just $50 per day? And slowly, it's all about the confidence. It's all about that emotional capital, right? Becoming stronger and stronger. So if you're just hitting smaller profits day in and day out, in maybe a month, you're like, okay, so I know this works. Now I'm going to just put a little bit more into it and let it work, let it grow like that, right? So it really depends on your aggressiveness because, some people are much more aggressive. They go in with much higher stakes. Also think of it, the more profit you're looking at, the higher your risk is going to be, right? That's just normal, right? For a better reward, you always have to have more of a risk. So again, that's the thing with day trading. Anybody could enter. There's no barrier of entry, right? Anybody could just go in and say, here I am, take my money, right? So, you would never sit behind a jet plane and just go, right? Why would you do that with day trading? And a lot of people do that. So it's hard to say, but, it depends on the person, on what their goals are. This could be a great side gig for maybe like $100 extra a day in the beginning until you're ready to make more. It's really up to you, right? But you have to know what your risk is. The number one thing you should do before anything else is know how much you're willing to risk either per trade or for the day. And if you lose that kind of money, get out. Don't even go anymore because at that point, your emotional capital is completely drained and you're going to keep losing.
Right.
And from there, you will learn what your profit is as well, right? What your profit goal for the day is. And then you'll slowly add on, right?
Right. So now, based on that, and and also look at your experience with trading the ES Mini there, if someone was to do that, what would they typically expect to potentially make per trade? So that way they can go, oh, okay, well that makes sense.
If you're just beginning, I would say around $50. If you're already in the process for a little bit longer, 150. So again, I do futures. Futures works a lot different than, stocks or Forex. So for instance, you make $50 on one trade with one contract, right? You could do the exact same kind of a trade. So $50 obviously is not a big profit. However, if you go in with 10 contracts, because now you feel completely confident that these trades work, that's $500 on that exact same trade on that exact same time frame.
Right.
So that's how it builds. That's why futures is also nice in that respect. You could do the exact same trade. You don't have to do anything, more of a different sort of a trade setup. Just add more into it.
Right.
So yeah, it could easily be done.
Okay. So for that person who's truly looking for a way that they can spend just a couple hours a day and make just an extra $50, $100, it sounds like it's a great way to do it.
Yeah, definitely.
Because if you think about, let's say that person let's say they're getting a part-time job someplace and they're making $15 an hour or whatever, they'd have to work 10 hours to do what they could do in, let's say, with the prep time, everything in maybe 2 hours or so.
Yeah.
The same exact
Once
result.
you have your strategy. Once you have that strategy. Yes, absolutely. And then once you have that confidence built up and you see it works, you just add on those contracts, the same time, the same amount of time, and you could double it, triple it, 10 times it, depends on your contracts.
Right. Exactly.
So yeah, absolutely.
Right. And it sounds like if you look at it from the other perspective, if you think of all the different ways that people, they're focusing on making money, it gets away from, you have to worry about, let's say someone's building a business, you have employees and all the marketing, so many other issues that you have to deal with. All you have to deal with is one thing, looking yourself in the mirror and say, am I in the right mental state with the right strategy to do this today?
Right. And there's no boss either to talk with, right? So if you're not in that right state of mind, you just take a little bit, you could also enter later. You don't have to enter at that moment. There's 7.5 hours of a day trading day, right? Forex is 24 hours. You don't have to go in at that moment. You could go exercise, get yourself into the right state of mind. Also, what's really nice about day trading is a lot of people want to work for themselves, but they don't want to have a business, right?
Right.
Marketing, networking, or physical business, or even an online business. There's no one here but you. And that's a really attractive thing for a lot of people.
Right. Oh, definitely. It makes it so much simpler if you don't have to worry about anyone else. You can just do what you need to do. And in reality, all you technically need then would be a laptop and internet connection, correct?
Yes, you need really good internet connection and charts, and that's all you need.
Right. Because you look at how many things you need, just a large amount of equipment. If you want to open a store, you need a storefront versus you can go to a local electronics store, buy a laptop for a couple $100. Congratulations. You're one step closer. Now, obviously, like when you're looking at charts, what is it that people need? Are you using a provider to give you the charts, or how are you going about obtaining the information you need to create successful trades?
Yeah, you definitely need a chart. You need a chart platform. So there's several different kinds, right? There's some that work only for futures. There's some that do everything. I would recommend to focus on the platform that it specializes in what you want to trade. I trade the futures. So NinjaTrader is a very powerful platform for me. If you're doing stocks, options, Thinkorswim is a fantastic one, which is through Ameritrade. And a lot of these platforms, they are actually connected directly to your broker. So you could trade right off of your platform, which is huge because that one split second of looking at your chart and then going to your broker to their, I guess, I can't say platform because the platform is your chart, but like to where you would be buying and selling, that split second could make all the difference. So it's really, really highly recommended to make sure your platform works directly with your broker on the actual platform in the interface, right? So you could do the trades right on that platform, on your charts. That's a huge, huge, huge suggestion or recommendation, however you want me to say it, if you want to do that.
Right. Right. Oh, definitely. Especially when you're looking at the pace that the market can move at. If you're in and out of a trade potentially in a couple minutes, by the time you're looking at the chart, then you have to go over to another site, the trade could be over.
Yes. Oh yeah. And it could become a bad trade. Like that's
right.
How quick it could happen, right? So yeah, that's why I really recommend there are a lot of wonderful platforms that work directly with different brokers directly on there. So once you choose your market, make sure you get the right platform.
Right, definitely. So now, what do you think of some of these automated platforms you see out there that people want to market? Like, if you use this platform, you're going to win, let's say, 70% of your trades and blah, 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 blah. What are your thoughts on those?
So that's not a platform. That's software. If you hear anybody telling you about their software, stay away. I am really big on this. So obviously to become a trader, you need an education just like for any other, profitable business. So a lot of these quote unquote academies or experts or whatever you want to call it, they will tell you that you need to use their software and their indicators, right?
Right.
So what happens then? So you go and you buy their course and you learn using their software. And once you're done with the course, you want to go on your own. And now what? You've learned only via their software. Who knows what it even is, right?
Right.
Now you're stuck with it. So you either have to continue paying for that software use because they will cut you off, or for the quote unquote academy or their trading chat rooms or whatever, right? So you are stuck with them. Any reputable academy, mentor, or expert will never do that. The goal is to teach you to do it on your own. There are hundreds of native free indicators that come with all platforms. So you need to make sure when people find academies that they do that, right?
Right.
They do not pay for any of that software. That's lies. They're lies.
And that's
so
important.
It's very, very important. Oh, sorry about that.
Oh no, but it's important to understand that.
Yeah, it's a scam. And a lot of people get caught up in this, right? So this is something that I really push. Don't pay for software. It will end up costing you so much money. It's not even guaranteed. Think of yourself as an artist. Okay. So if you go to an art class, a good art teacher will teach you the basics. They will not teach you only their style, only what they do, right? They're going to give you the freedom. They're going to show you the foundation and the basics, right?
Right.
And then they're going to say, okay, go create. So I look at trading the same. I look at it as an art form. I will teach you with the basic indicators, and that's what you need. You don't need anything fancy. You could do great like that, right? And then go. I gave you the foundation. I showed you the strategy, but you could now use that strategy and also start to look at others, right? You don't need me anymore. Sure, I could be there for helping, but you're not going to need my software or my indicators. You're free to go.
Right.
And so that's huge. Huge.
Oh yeah. You have to develop that foundation to build upon, because if you're only using a software and you don't understand the fundamentals behind what's going on, and that one software goes away, well, then you're back to square one again.
Yeah, you're back to, and by then you've already probably spent like 5 figures easily on, on education and that software. Right,
exactly. You have to look at what's going to be the long-term play for it. Now, obviously, when you're looking at, the whole aspect when you of putting yourself into the marketplace and you're creating growth, someone's day trading. Ultimately, then what's next? Like if you've been trading one thing after another, is it just to increase your income? Is it just to increase the number of contracts you're trading on a daily basis, and that's it?
Yeah, for sure. That's it.
Okay.
It's that simple.
Now, obviously, you're teaching people how to do this, correct?
Uh-huh.
So when you're teaching people, and obviously, we live in this global world and people are in different places, what is it that people should look for, let's say, in the brokerage, that they should be picking at? So they just don't really pick the wrong ones, like, oh, this is horrible. Should they look at the platform like NinjaTrader and then look to see what brokerage they should be using?
Yes, exactly. Learn your strategy first before you go with a broker. So the brokers are the easiest thing. There's always going to be people who want your money. Find the platform that works and find a brokerage that works well with it and that gives you good commissions. Commissions is huge. You could easily lose, you could be winning, but, with high commissions, you'll make a fraction of what you could do if your commissions are low.
Right. Okay. And that is incredible because it doesn't do any good to you've made a fortune. Well, in actuality, the brokerage made a fortune. You got a cookie left over.
Exactly.
You went from having a dinner to hamburger helper really fast.
Exactly. Yes.
So that's always very critical. So now tell us a little bit more about the course that you have, because it's something that when people are looking for ways to create financial freedom, it's a logical thing to do to take control over your money, because there's no one else out there who's going to have a greater interest than yourself.
Yeah, very true. So I actually have 2 courses. Nobody is actually talking to the total beginner of day trading. So that's something that I noticed, and that was a big issue for me. So you decide that you want to day trade, right? And then now what? So there's no one explaining to you the basics of it. And the way I look at the market is, for instance, you want to learn how to play the piano, all right? You have to go and you need to learn the notes. You need to learn your scales, right? If you don't know how to do that, how can you play any piece of music, right? So it's the same thing with the market. It doesn't matter which market you decide to trade. It could be Forex, stocks, futures, options. The market all moves the exact same way, right? There are patterns to it. There are areas. So by the time you reach an academy, they seem to skip that over. I don't know why that is. And it's a really big deal, right? So I have a course that literally focuses only on how to read the market. It's a beginner boot camp, and that just teaches you how to read the market. And another thing is the majority of the academies, they're really high priced, right? So what if you don't even really like it? What if you want to give it a shot and you don't really, all of a sudden you realize, wait, this isn't really for me. So you're going to be losing quite a lot of money doing that, right? So my course, it's only $147, but what it is, it teaches you how to read the market. So by the time you actually decide that you want to be a trader, you have complete confidence in what the market is telling you. And that's the most important thing. Without that foundation, it's like building a house. If you don't have a foundation for the house, you cannot put a window without a wall. So this is what I teach you, right? I give you that foundation. And then you also realize, oh yeah, this is something I definitely want to do because we do it on a platform. The good platforms that work with brokers, you could actually do them for free and they give you the live feed. It's a huge deal, right? You don't want to be putting out cash for something that you might not even really want. So then a lot of people decide if they want to do it. And because futures is much lower entry financially, excuse me, they want to follow and learn from me for my futures course, which gives you a very solid strategy, trade setups, exact profit targets, risk management, all of that. And that's my next course that will, that's it. That's like the whole enchilada. I say the boot camp is like the tip of the iceberg and the other is the full iceberg. So those are the two classes that I offer. Those two courses, I should say. And they're very hands-on. I give you full support. I mentor you all of the way to making sure that you fully understand what the market is telling you.
Oh, now that's awesome because people need to understand what they should be doing, and then to have someone walk you through it, it makes a world of a difference. Because if you think about doing something different for the first time, having someone explain to you exactly what you should be looking for instead of it just being a picture of, oh, just look for this, and not talking about the psychology behind it. Because if you think about it, the markets are driven upon emotion. You look at what will happen if a politician out there says one little thing and it goes into a frizzy.
Yes.
And that's all emotion.
Yes.
So it's as looking of knowing one of those based on what's going on. This is going to be a great day. Other times, who's saying what? Yeah, I'm staying clear. Because
no, on the contrary. So the markets, a lot of people think that you could only look from going up. The majority of the traders, I think, probably make more money when the markets are tanking.
Oh, yeah.
So that doesn't matter. Again, it's pure technicals. It's all technicals.
Right.
If the market is telling you I'm going to continue going lower and it gives you the right entry, you want to be in on that to make sure that the market goes lower because that's how you profit. The same exact when it goes up. So in that respect, that's what's nice about learning the technicals. It's just reading the charts. Okay, the chart is telling me this. It's reading what the market is telling you, right? You don't want to be anywhere near a market when there's an actual big news impact, but that's 20 minutes, and then you could go right back in, right?
Right.
So
there's always those initial moments.
Yeah.
So it's a very powerful thing when you can be able to understand that.
Yeah.
And that's what people need to know more about it. How to know for those things of what to look for when it's like, okay, this makes logical sense to be in the marketplace. And just like you said there, oh, do you have this event that's going on? It's going to be very volatile for the next 20 minutes. Does it make sense to be in the market, or is it best just to take a break, go for a short walk, clear your head, then come back?
Yes, exactly. And that's right there. You can see when the news is going to hit. You can see if the market is acting crazy. That's what reading the market is about, right? It's like reading books. If you learn how to read the words, then you could read fiction, nonfiction, technical stuff, and it all makes sense. So it's the same thing with the markets. It tells you what's about to happen. It's not 100%. Obviously, everybody would be doing it, but it can be pretty good.
Right, exactly. And just like anything else, the things that you can have success in, you just have to put the effort.
Oh, yes. Yes.
And that's what it comes down to. But a lot of people out there don't take the time to put the energy, and you just can't decide to, 5 minutes from now, go to a brokerage, open up an account, and start trading without knowing what you're doing. It's kind of like driving a car and you've never been in one before. So I've seen it on TV. It can't be that difficult.
Yes. And actually driving a car is a perfect example because anybody could buy one. They don't test you at the car shop if you have a license or not. It's exactly the same thing. Yeah. Right. And how many people, think that they can drive and they have no idea how to even get it out of park. And we're talking about manual. Manual is a little bit more complicated than automatic, right?
Right.
So yeah, it's very similar.
Right. So the exact process there. So now, when you're looking at the whole marketplace, as we begin to wrap things up, what is one thing you would recommend to people that they do if they're considering entering into the day trading marketplace, regardless of if they're looking at futures, forex, or even options?
Learn to read the market. Learn to know what it's telling you. Is it going up? Is it going down? Is it going to be a reversal? Is there divergence? This is so easy to learn, but you'll be surprised the amount of people who are trading that don't even realize that the market is in a sideways pattern, which means it's doing nothing and you need to stay out. So many people, if I say, is there a reversal pattern? They have no idea what that means. And what is a reversal pattern? You always want to be on the right side of the trend. What's a reversal? That means the market is screaming to you, it's about to reverse. Why are you getting in more into that trend, or why are you still staying there? These are so basic so if you want to trade at all, and if you don't know these super basics, right, it's kind of like not knowing what a noun or a verb is when you're reading. So it's that basic. If you don't know that, do not even come near the live market with real cash, So you need to learn the absolute basics. Once you know the basics, you need to know which market you want to focus on and find one instrument, one market, and really master it before you go on to the other. A lot of traders also start doing like 3 or 4 at once. And I'm like, what are you doing? They're all so different. Why would you even do that to yourself? Are you good at one of them? Oh no, I'm just seeing you up, but they're live and their money is there. You know what I mean? So These are the basics, right? So the third other basic is you need to have a risk management in place. Do not even consider doing anything until you have your risk management. So read the market, choose the market you want to be in, know what your risk is, and then learn it, and then go for it.
And those are all critical things that people have to do. If you don't have those things in place, stay out of the market because you're putting your money at risk.
Yes.
So
I can't believe people actually do it without knowing this stuff. It amazes me, but they do. It's incredible.
Right. Well, it all goes back down to something simple, that you have courses out there, you have things where people see something, oh, I can do this, but you don't necessarily have all the facts presented of, you need to have these 3 things in place prior to it. Like, oh, you can go do it. Oh, don't worry about it. Try out different things. Because if you look at how many, it's not limited to the trading marketplace, but if you look at how many courses out there are taught, the sole purpose of ultimately just selling the course, it's not necessarily about the student's success.
Oh, no. I'd say 90% of them are not. Yeah, I have to admit, 90% of them are not. And they give you such fake hopes that you'll be making $2,000 a day. It's such a lie. Such a lie.
Right.
No matter how great, you will not be making that in the first 2 years. So face it, that's normal.
Right. You have to build yourself up. I liken it to the example using a lottery winner. How many of them they end up bankrupt after just a few short years because the education, the knowledge was not in place when they had the funds?
Yes, exactly. They don't have the basics down for whatever that would be, even simple money management, right?
Right, exactly. If the basics are not in place, you can't expect to go up to that level. It's kind of like, if you think about, let's say, professional sports, if someone never played a game of, let's say, soccer in their life, they can't suddenly expect to go to a world-class organization and they'll say, I want to play for you. But they've never done it. It's like, it's not happening.
Yeah. And for some reason, people get that when it comes to these things. But for day trading, they don't seem to get that. And that blows my mind.
Right.
It blows my mind. Yeah, I know, it's crazy. It's crazy. Like, you get it. You understand that a doctor has to go through 8 years of school before he could operate on you. And God forbid, you still don't even want him to operate on you then, right? But for day
Right.
trading, they think they can make the same kind of money as a doctor and have zero education. It completely blows my mind how people do this.
Right. Exactly. No matter what you want to do in life, if you want to be successful at it, you have to be willing to invest in yourself to achieve it.
Yes, you do.
That's great. So now, how can people learn more about what you do and be able to learn about the courses you have?
Just thetraderchick.com.
Awesome. Well, I have totally enjoyed connecting with you today and learning more about what you're doing with day trading, because it's a fascinating topic that people need to be aware of. It's another way that you can create success in the financial markets by investing in yourself.
Yeah, absolutely. And it's a great side gig once you learn it. It's fantastic like that.
Definitely. Awesome. Well, thank you for being here today.
Thank you so much for having me. I really had fun.
Oh, you're welcome.
Thanks for listening to the Big Movement Podcast today. And be sure to subscribe so you don't miss an episode. Now that you've surely been inspired to take your entrepreneurial career and business to the next level, you can stop by the website and get more. And if you're ready to boost your business brand, be sure to grab your free report, 7 Easy Steps to Build Your Brand Today.